Welcome to today's journey into the world of economics. Before we dive into our main topic, let's get familiar with some key terms. First up, we have the gross domestic product, more commonly known as GDP. Now, this isn't some complex, inaccessible concept. In fact, it's quite simple. GDP is the total value of all goods and services produced by a country within a specific time period. Think of it as the country's annual financial report card. It's an indicator of a country's economic health and its standard of living. Higher the GDP, stronger the economy, and better the standard of living. Next, we have purchasing power parity, or PPP. This one is a bit more nuanced. PPP is a method used to compare the relative purchasing power between different countries. It's not just about comparing the prices of a specific good in two different countries. It's about understanding how much of that good you can buy in each country with a given amount of money. Let's take an example. Imagine you have $100. How many apples can you buy in the United States with that amount, and how many can you buy in India? The answer to this question gives us the PPP between the United States and India for apples. It's a handy way to understand the relative cost of living and the true value of money in different countries. So to recap, GDP is the total value of goods and services produced by a country, and it gives us an idea of the country's economic health. PPP, on the other hand, lets us compare the purchasing power in different countries by looking at the cost of specific goods. With these definitions in mind, we can now proceed to discuss the top 10 economies in the world. Now that we understand GDP and PPP, let's delve into the top 10 economies around the globe. First, let's briefly list these economic powerhouses: the United States, China, Japan, Germany, India, the United Kingdom, France, Italy, Brazil, and Canada. Each of these economies is a fascinating universe of its own. Starting with the United States, the world's largest economy. With a GDP of over $22 trillion, it is a diverse and dynamic economy, driven by sectors like technology, healthcare, and finance. The population here is over 328 million people, enjoying a high standard of living, though the wealth distribution is a topic of ongoing debate. Next, we fly over to China, the second largest economy on the planet. With a GDP of over $15 trillion, it's an economic powerhouse fueled by manufacturing and exports. Home to a staggering population of over 1.4 billion people, China's standard of living varies greatly across its vast terrain. Japan, the island nation, comes in third. With a GDP of $5 trillion, it's known for its technology and automobile industries. The population here is around 127 million people, and Japan is known for its high standard of living and longevity. Germany, Europe's economic stalwart, is fourth on the list. Its GDP is about $4 trillion, driven by its strong manufacturing and automotive industries. With a population of 83 million people, Germany boasts a high standard of living and a strong social security system. India, the vibrant and diverse economy, ranks fifth. With a GDP of over $3 trillion, it's a mixed bag of agriculture, manufacturing, and a booming service sector. India's population, over 1.3 billion, experiences varied standards of living due to regional disparities. Sixth is the United Kingdom. With a GDP of over $2.8 trillion, it's known for its finance, manufacturing, and service sectors. The UK's population of 66 million enjoys a high standard of living, though regional disparities do exist. France, the world's most visited country, is seventh. It has a GDP of over $2.7 trillion, with major contributors being tourism, manufacturing, and services. The French population of 67 million enjoys a high standard of living with excellent healthcare and social security. Italy, the historical and cultural gem, is eighth. With a GDP of over $2 trillion, Italy's economy is driven by manufacturing and services, especially tourism. The population of 60 million experiences a good standard of living, though the economy has its challenges. Brazil, the South American giant, is ninth. With a GDP of over $1.8 trillion, it's known for its agriculture, mining, manufacturing, and service sectors. Brazil's 211 million people experience varied living standards due to economic inequality. And finally, Canada, 10th on the list but not to be overlooked. With a GDP of over $1.7 trillion, its economy is fueled by natural resources, manufacturing, and services. The population of 37 million enjoys a high standard of living with a strong emphasis on social welfare. These economies are diverse and dynamic, each with its own unique characteristics and challenges. In our discussion of the top 10 economies, we've touched upon the average incomes and standards of living in these countries. But to truly understand the economic landscape, we need to delve deeper into the issue of income disparity. Starting again with the United States, it has one of the highest income disparities among developed countries. The top 20% of earners take home more than half of all U.S. income. This wealth gap has been a point of contention and a topic of heated debate for decades. Moving to China, we see a similar pattern. Rapid economic growth has lifted many out of poverty, but it has also widened the income gap. The wealthiest 10% in China own more than 40% of the country's wealth. In Japan, income inequality is less pronounced. The country's culture of lifetime employment and seniority-based pay helps maintain a relatively even distribution of wealth. Still, changes in employment practices in recent years have led to a slight increase in disparity. Germany, despite being one of the world's wealthiest countries, is not immune to income inequality. The top 10% of earners in Germany take home nearly a quarter of the country's income. India, on the other hand, has seen a dramatic increase in income disparity. The top 10% of Indians now hold more than 3/4 of the total national wealth. As we look at these and the remaining economies, it becomes clear that income disparity is a global issue. These disparities can lead to social and political instability, and addressing them is one of the significant challenges facing these economies today. In our next section, we will see how these disparities affect purchasing power in different countries. Stay tuned. Now, let's move on to a real-world comparison using the concept of purchasing power parity, or PPP. This economic theory allows us to compare the relative values of different currencies. But how? Well, by examining how much of a good or service that currency can purchase in its home country. Today, we'll be zeroing in on a quotidian, tangible item, the Volkswagen T-Cross Comfort Line. Let's kick things off with the United States, the world's largest economy. Here, the average income comes in at around $62,500 per year. Considering this, along with the cost of this Volkswagen model, it would take an American about 5 months of salary to purchase this car. Now, jaunt over to China, the globe's second largest economy, with an average salary of about $12,000 per year, and the added cost of importing the vehicle, it would demand a Chinese worker approximately a year to afford the same car. Next stop, Japan, the third largest economy. Despite the car's price being comparable to that in the United States, higher average incomes of about $40,000 per year mean that it would take a worker merely 4 months of salary to buy the car. Jetting over to Germany, the birthplace of Volkswagen, we find a different scenario. The average income is about $50,000 per year and the car is relatively cheaper. Consequently, it would take a German worker just over 3 months of salary to purchase the T-Cross Comfort Line. Let's wind up in India. Although it's among the top economies in terms of GDP, the average salary is significantly lower at roughly $3,000 per year. As a result, Indian worker would need to save for about 2 years to afford this vehicle. As we continue to observe other economies, we see that the cost of this Volkswagen model varies significantly, mirroring the different purchasing powers in each country. So what are we to make of all this? It underscores the significance of PPP in deciphering the true value of money across diverse economies. It illustrates that GDP, while offering an overview of an economy's size, PPP presents a more detailed view, factoring in the cost of living and the quality of life. As evident, PPP enables us to make meaningful comparisons between economies beyond merely considering GDP. Our journey through the world's top economies comes to an end, but the world of economics is vast and ever-changing. We've taken an enlightening journey, haven't we? We've explored the titans of the global economy, delving into the details of their gross domestic product, their major contributors, and the standards of living within their borders. We've grappled with the concept of purchasing power parity, a tool that helps us understand the value of money in different countries. We've compared these top economies, seeing how much it would cost to buy a Volkswagen T-Cross Comfort Line in each. From the towering skyscrapers of New York to the bustling markets of Shanghai, from the efficient factories of Germany to the oil wells of Saudi Arabia, we've seen how economies vary yet are interconnected in the complex web of global finance. Economic terms and concepts like GDP and PPP are more than just academic jargon. They are keys that unlock our understanding of the world. They show us why a cup of coffee costs more in Tokyo than in Delhi, and why a software engineer earns more in Silicon Valley than in Moscow. These concepts give us insight into the living conditions of people around the world and help us understand the global balance of power. But remember, economies are not static. They are dynamic, changing with the winds of political decisions, technological innovations, and global events. Today's top economy may be tomorrow's second place, and a rising star may soon join the ranks of the top 10. So it's essential for you to keep learning, to keep questioning, and to keep exploring the fascinating world of economics. If you found this video insightful, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more enlightening content. Until next time, keep exploring. And remember, every time you delve into a new topic, you're not just gaining knowledge. You're expanding your understanding of this wonderful, complex world we live in. Until our next journey together, stay curious and keep learning.